still groggy. She stood there for a few moments before asking, "Aren't you going to make breakfast?" I shrugged. "I don't know. You don't really need me to, do you?" She just blinked at me, looking more confused than angry. But the next day, she didn't ask again. By the end of the week, the atmosphere in the house had shifted. It wasn't just the girls who were uneasy, it was my wife, too. She noticed I wasn't picking up the slack anymore, that I wasn't jumping to help when things went wrong. One evening, she asked, "Why aren't you taking care of them?" I didn't even look up from the TV. I'm not their father anymore. They don't want me to be, so why should I pretend? Her silence spoke volumes. She didn't know how to respond. It wasn't what she had expected. But I wasn't going to apologize, not this time. As the days went on, the girls began to show signs of discomfort. They didn't seem to understand what had happened. They didn't get why I wasn't playing the role they expected. It was like they hadn't realized how much I had done for them until it was no longer there. And that's when things started to change. It started subtly at first, a few glances exchanged between my wife and the girls, but nothing more. They'd still pass me in the hallway without a word, like I was just another piece of furniture in the house. The house had become a shell of its former self, devoid of warmth or laughter. It was a stark difference from the way things used to be. But I had my reasons for keeping my distance. They had drawn their line in the sand when they told me I wasn't their real father, and I wasn't going to cross it anymore. Then, one evening, the tension finally boiled over. The girls had been particularly withdrawn that day. They ate dinner without speaking, their eyes glued to their plates, as if the food had somehow become more interesting than the family sitting around the table. I could feel the unspoken words hanging in the air like an argument waiting to happen. After dinner, one of the girls finally spoke up. "Why aren't you helping anymore?" Her voice was small, almost unsure, but there was an edge to it that I couldn't ignore. I didn't look up from my book. "You didn't want me to help." She shook her head, a frown creasing her brow. "That's not what we meant. We didn't think you'd just stop being there for us. Maybe you should have thought about that before you told me I wasn't your father," I said, my voice cold. The words hit like a punch. Her face twisted in confusion, like she didn't quite understand how things had gotten this far. "But we didn't mean it like that. We were just. I interrupted. "You were just angry. You didn't think about how it would feel to hear that, to be dismissed like I'm just some stranger." The room went silent. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, unsure of what to say. It was like the reality of her words had finally hit her. I wasn't some stranger. I had been there for her, for both of them, when they needed a father. And now, they were starting to realize it. My wife, who had been quiet up until then, spoke. "You don't have to be like this." I didn't answer her right away. I didn't know what to say. I had already given everything to this family. I had sacrificed so much of my time, my energy, my love for them. And yet, in an instant, they had turned their backs on me. "Maybe I don't have to be like this," I said finally. "But I don't want to pretend like nothing happened either. You all made it clear where I brings in the paycheck and fixes things around here, right?" My wife looked at me, her face softening for a moment. But I wasn't in the mood for her sympathy. I wasn't looking for an apology. I just needed them to understand what it felt like to be pushed aside. The following days were a strange mixture of tension and realization. The girls started to notice that their mother wasn't intervening anymore. She wasn't the buffer between us, wasn't trying to smooth things over like she usually did, and that seemed to hit them harder than I had expected. They were used to the comfortable routine we'd all built, one where I played the role of the father, the provider, the fixer. And now that I wasn't playing that role, everything fell off balance. My absence, my unwillingness to. Final update, Engage had created a vacuum that they were struggling to fill. By the end of the week, I had already stopped doing everything I used to.